Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for this privilege. I'm really grateful. I am not speaking today because I know more. I'm just speaking because I'm opportuned to have this information. So, thank you so much, Nancy. And good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So, my name is Favour, like she has introduced, and I do a lot of things. I usually like to tell people, bring the business. Let me be the one to tell you I cannot do this one. Just bring all of them. Let me tell you I cannot do this one. Bring another one. So, but for a while now, I think I started my journey in intentional parenting and childcare when I was like 18. I got a job after my senior secondary school in a crèche, and that was where the passion started. Although when I was much younger, my mom said she used to flog me to leave people's children. Like, you know how you have to flog a baby to leave someone else's baby because a baby would want to carry someone else's baby.
Yeah.
So it's from there. And today, I would like to be speaking to us about intentional parenting, the landmarks of child development. And the tagline I use is more than a union. If you notice, the recent post that was made on the group, a post about a couple kissing. Yes, I think I don't know who posted it, but something in line. And then I decided, okay, let me use this image. So credits to whoever shared the post on the platform. So I said more than just a union, more than a union. There is one thing about parenting that a lot of us miss. And before I go into that, let me just say this. It is very often that you find people talk about their marriage. You find young people, especially singles, talk and aspire towards the kind of marriage they want to have, the kind of partner they want to have. But one thing is always left out in this conversation: how they want to raise their kids. You go on social media now, or maybe one relationship blog or something. The first thing you see is, I want a man who will do this. I want a woman who will do this. I want this. I want that. This is the kind of home I want. In fact, even Christians will come and say, I want an intentional man. I want a home where the spirit of God is the one leading us. I want a Christian marriage and all of that. But in all of that, one thing is always missing, which is the concept of parenting. As a person, as you desire to have a particular kind of partner, as a desire to have a marriage where understanding is dwelt and where there is mutual connection, you also need to consider the aspect of parenting. Because forgive me, there is no amount of love that will keep you and your partner together if you fail in parenting. Yes, you can really end up having a messed up kid, but remember that a child who is messed up was definitely raised in a messed up home. There is no home where love thrives. There is no home where their relationship and their connection is strong. Yet the children are not being raised properly. So it's like a two-way thing. It's like a circle, right? You want a good partner, a good home. It relates or translates to how you parent your children. You have good and well cultured children, it translates to the kind of relationship you and your partner share. So marriage is more than a union. It incorporates the idea of parenting, the idea of you and your partner coming together as a team to raise another human being. Like, another human being is being entrusted to your care. Imagine when in the scriptures, where, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this a little bit religious, but in the scriptures, when God told Sarah that you have two nations inside of you, why did she identify them as nations? Because children are seeds that are nations in themselves, right? Bringing them into this world is you being entrusted with the responsibility to carve or shape the next generation. That's your responsibility. Being the person entrusted, that their care is entrusted into, means you are the one who has been assigned to carve their responsibility in the future. So let me go to the next slide. So this talks about why this matter. Why are we having this conversation in the first place? Yes, it's Children's Day. We will get gifts for our nephews, our nieces, our children, even the children in the streets that we come across. But then there is one conversation we really need to have in commemoration of the Children's Day celebration 2025, and that is an important topic. That is why we are having this conversation today. Why is this talk important? Why is this conversation necessary? Number one, most people prepare for love, but not for parenting. See, parenting hits you harder than the effect of marrying a wrong partner. Marrying the wrong person affects you as an individual, yes, because it limits you, it makes you to lose yourself, it makes you brings you to a point of confusion and disorientation. But imagine you now having a child in the midst of all of this. Now if it's a teenager, you're like, well, I'm just too bothered right now, I do not really have the time to bother about some other person. But this is an infant, someone who is depending on you for every single thing. That's a lot of burden to put on someone who is still trying to figure out themselves in their marriage. So having these infants who needs you to even breathe, babies need their parents to breathe, because even with their own hands, they can stop the flow of air through their nose. Do you know babies forget to breathe? That's how much they need care and guidance. If you read about it, I've forgotten what the term is called, but babies, infants forget to breathe. Just think about it. It's really mind blowing that an individual will forget to breathe. Babies forget to breathe. And what's expected of the mother? To tap their back, and then they remember again that, oh, okay, I'm a living thing. I need to keep this air flowing, and they continue to breathe. Now imagine if you're in a home where you are still trying to find yourself, you're going through a lot, you are not having a fruitful relationship with your partner, yet you now have an infant who is totally and completely depending on you to survive. It makes it five times the stress. And the fact that you bringing this child into the world, imagine you're a woman, it's like 10 times the stress, because at this time your body is still trying to get used to your new lifestyle. Your body is still trying to accommodate this new being that's just come out of you, and then you are going through series of transformation, series of adjustments. Imagine having to deal with all of this when you don't even have a partner that is going through the journey with you. So we need to consider the aspect of parenting as much as we consider the aspect of love in our marriage, because marriage at some love rather at some point would not hold you people together if you do not have certain principles and structures set aside to help you go through your parenting phase. Parenting is not a reaction, it's a design. It is something you have to thoughtfully and purposefully come into. Now, you see us making investment into our relationship. Okay, I am going to invest this amount of money that as soon as my kids are born, um I have money in the accounts to take them to school. I should have saved my excuse me, I should have saved my children's college fee, before they are even teenagers, so I don't have to start looking for the money when they are in college. So I'm going to plan ahead, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But we have forgotten that the most important time or period of a child's development is from the age of 0 to 7. So we plan all of these things and forget the most important thing, which is the family structure, the family design, the family values, the consistency in routine. These are the things we should consider, and not just the love between us and our partner or our children. Because the truth is, as parents, most of the times, young parents for that matter, they confuse the idea of loving their child with the idea of being the child's parents. You are not your child's friend. You are the child's guardian. You are supposed to be present for the child, to take the child through life and to provide them all the necessary skills required for them to engage with all these obstacles in the future. So we need to understand what loving our children is and what being their parents means. Because some of us who have been starved from love, maybe our parents were did not really give us the chance to go out, and then the only idea we have of parenting is, for me, I'm going to allow my children go out, I'm going to expose them, and then in the bit of that they're going to learn life and learn the lessons that I did not learn when I was younger, forgetting that in this thing I have just shared there is an extreme. So in parenting, It is not a reaction. You don't wake up one morning and begin to react to all the experiences you are facing in parenting. You have to carve out a design that works for your family, a design that works for the combination of partners, which is you and your partner. What is your combination in temperament? What's your combination in how you do things, right? In how you understand love. You carve a design and a structure from that, and not just react to parenting. Some people, maybe the wife really needs quiet time during the day, but she now has a baby. She didn't really plan on how she's going to maximize that season of her life, so now she's reacting with the fact that she now has a baby. So when she wants her quiet time, she becomes disoriented. She doesn't know what to do, and then she finds the quiet the best fit. Okay, let me just go and drop my child at my neighbor's place. I need some quiet time. And what she's doing at that point, she's reacting to her current need, when she's supposed to have planned and thought about, how do I handle this part of my parenting? How do I manage my emotional needs while still catering for my child? So parenting should be a design, a thoughtful design, and not just a reaction. Children shape the future, and parenting shape children. Meaning, if we want to have a better tomorrow, we just have to parent well. That's just the summary. If you want to have a better tomorrow, we have to parent well. The reason why social media is really exposing the traumas in the youth these days is because these traumas actually exist. But there are wholesome kids, or wholesome teenagers and wholesome youth, who go to social media and maximize it for their profits, and they don't come out with trauma. So if you really want to adjust all of these things happening in our days, we need to go back to the foundation of parenting. Where did we miss it out? And how can we correct it? So the last one says, you don't stumble into good parenting, you planned for it. I already explained that. So that brings us to the next part. This is why the conversation is important, because we are working towards the future, not just for ourselves. We are not raising our kids, right, because we want them to grow up and take care of us. No, we are thinking generational wise. We are thinking social wise. We are thinking global wise. We want our children to take up spaces. We want the world to be better. We want to have society that is sound and not too sensitive or too eager to respond to trauma. We want to have healthy mindsets among the young people in our time. And that way, the only way we can do this is by being intentional with how we raise our kids. So this part says, what is intentional parenting? A parenting approach based on purpose and strategic planning. That's exactly what intentional parenting is. Intentional parenting is the kind of parenting where the parent sits down, even before the child was conceived, plans out how they want their children's life to go, the structures necessary in making this ideal child that they have in their mind, right, and having and bringing themselves to the point where they agree to follow through with these structures. Because structures, most of the times, making structure is really not the thing. Being committed to following the structure is what matters. Being committed to follow up with structures in parenting is what matters the most, not just by drafting long documents, right? So choosing how to raise your child, not coping or coasting, and this begins before the child arrive. So intentional parenting is the kind of parenting where the child is planned and prepared for even before the child arrives. And not just financially. Intentional parenting is planning purposefully for a child in every area of their need: emotional needs, financial needs, social needs, and all of that. Now, this does not mean you have to carve out a fixed and inflexible career path or life design for that child. What this means is that you are providing an adequate environment where your child can thrive, and you are planning for this before the child arrives. Not that you are defining what their life should be like. Like some people, before their child is born, because they are footballers and at some points they could not chase follow up their career paths, and because they grew older than the intake age, so they vow to themselves that my child must play football. And before the child is born, they already have a mapped out plan on how the child is going to go to football academy, is going to do this, and by 17 they should be playing on the global field and all of that. That's not intentional parenting. You know what that is? That is you creating your own, that is you creating, what's it called, that is you creating a path individual from what that child has been called to do. That means you are redesigning the destiny of that child. Intentional parenting is you purposefully planning structures, and these structures are focused on allowing or creating healthy grounds for your child's destiny to be fulfilled, not for you to carve out a new destiny for them. So you're creating a ground where their lives and their destiny can be adequately fulfilled, but you're not designing a fresh or unique destiny for them. So you're not creating or imposing a what's it called, a career path or a focus or an identity, but you're raising them to be wholesome kids towards what they have been born to do. That means you are giving them the opportunity also to explore themselves, and to say from the abundance of their experiences and the things they are passionate about, to decide, okay, mommy, I want to be a doctor. Okay, mommy, I want to be an engineer. So intentional parenting is you purposefully planning for your child before they arrive. Please, let's hold that word down, before they arrive, because it seems like every one of us prepare for our love life. Every one of us plan for how we want our honeymoon to be, how we want to enjoy our partner. But we forget that all of this thing ties around how we are able to manage our season of procreation. Because if you do not handle your season of procreation very well, regardless of how awesome your partner is, your marriage can end in shambles. Your marriage can crash. People, there's this person I know that shared one post one time in Instagram, and she was like, see these little kids, they are little demons. If not for God, you could say that they were sent to destroy your home, right? Or you just, because these people are selfish, these children are selfish, they don't care how much you love your husband, how much you're desiring to spend time with your husband. They just want all the attention to themselves. They just want you to give it all to them, not because they are intentionally trying to break your home, but because at that stage of their life, nature demands that you give them all the care accessible to them. So it's like a natural response. Them wanting you to deny your private time, wanting you to deny the things you love, wanting you to deny yourself completely just for their own good. It's not something they do intentionally. It is the demand of nature for the season of their life. So how do you navigate this season? How do you maximize the love you have for your partner? How do you put together your 9 to 5? How do you put together your dreams? How do you That's why a lot of people get married, and after having a child or two, it feels like their destiny is impossible to fulfill, because the structure they had was not firm enough to take themselves and the life and their partner from that season or through that phase. So intentional parenting is a purposeful planning, right, that provides all that is necessary for your child to grow and become all that they need to be, while still maintaining the love, the joy, the compassion, and the union in your home. So there are key pillars of intentional parenting, which is vision for your home, shared values with your spouse, strategy per child and per season. I think this number three is what I want to really hammer on. A lot of people who are fond of getting used to a system, right, would have their first child, get used to that system they had used for that first child, and imagine ignorantly that they can use the same season for all their child. Newsflash: every child comes with their own specific and unique necessities for their development. The way you raise a an extroverted child is very different to how you raise an introverted child. The way you raise an introverted child is very different from how you raise an extroverted child. And this does not mean the ways of parenting is divided into two, right? Parenting introverted children and parenting extroverted children. That is not it. Right? Introvert and extrovert is just a very narrow grouping, right? For lack of better words. But there is a design for every child, the same way there is a destiny for every child. Now, the reason why, okay, I'm thinking about using a Bible illustration, but let me just go on to use it. The reason why God told Sarah that there are two nations inside of you is because there were two different individuals that had two different purposes in life. and missing out on the needs of each of that child, or trying to use the same strategy to train the both of them will only end in ruin. Imagine using a specific parenting structure to raise a footballer, and then you're trying to use the same one to raise an artist or someone who paints. Painters are very quiet people. In fact, research has shown that people who do art, especially in painting, they say less words in their lifetime compared to compared to any word they will ever say when they are displaying, or what's it called, when they are displaying their arts. Yes, in a show or in a conference or something. So these children are very different people. They carry different making. They carry different destinies. They are required, what they need rather per season is different. So when you carve out a structure for a particular child, right, remember that this structure that I have goes to the trash the moment I get a second child, because every child comes with their unique need. Every child comes with what they require for each of their season. So the first pillar for intentional parenting says vision for your home. What kind of home do you want to have? In the midst of you desiring a loving partner and saying, I want to have a kind of home where I can share anything with my husband, we can be playful, we can do, see, you will not have time of playing if you don't put structures on how you want to maximize the length, the developmental season of your children. You won't even have the time. You've not seen mothers who act like mad women because everything is happening all at the same time. Everything is failing all at the same time. They are overwhelmed. That does not mean having a structure keeps you away from being overwhelmed. No, it only means that it gives you a more specific approach on how to handle all of the overwhelmingness that might come with being a mother or being a father. So have a vision for your home. I want my home to be this. I want my home to be that. And your vision should be strategic, it should be specific. When you say you want your home to be loving, you want your home to have the Holy Spirit as the core, or you want your home to be a ground where visitors can come and feel welcomed and become a part of the family. You need to remind yourself, how do I make this possible? That's what makes your vision for your home strategic. How do I make this possible? How do I ensure that my home is a place where visitors can come in and find shelter? When you have a hostel wife, or when you have a hostel husband, or where you barely can even keep up with your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe breakfast is ready around 4 p.m. in the evening and you want to have visitors in your house. They will either get angry and leave your house, or they will say you're intentionally starving them. So, in carving out structures and visions for your home, ensure it is strategic. How do you want to achieve this? It's more like a business, right? A career path, what you want to do with an establishment. That's the same approach we should have with parenting. Remembering and keeping it to mind that we are raising an individual who is probably the one holding back the next generation, the generation to come. Have that approach in your mind that having a child and bringing a child into this world is more than me just having a cute little tiny version of myself. When carving out a vision for your home as regarding parenting, it is beyond you wanting a tiny, cute version of yourself. It is more like you saying, I am ready now to bring an individual into this world who most likely the world will be on his shoulders, and I need to equip him or her with all that is necessary for them to scale through the phases of their life. So let's have a vision, and your vision should be strategic. How do you want to achieve this vision? So when we talk about smart goals, right? Yeah, imagine your family vision is like a smart goal. Ensure you include how you want to make that happen. So shared values with your spouse. Like me now, I am a strong advocate of homeschooling. If you are someone like me and you get married to someone who does not believe in homeschooling, see, except the Lord touches his heart, there is nothing you can do. You will just get frustrated. Homeschooling demands a lot of attention, a lot of work. And having a partner who does not share the same vision, yet gives you the opportunity to still do it. Because It's possible to have someone who does not really share the same vision, but they're indifferent. Okay, if you think it's what you want to do, fine, you can do it. That's very different than having someone who shares the same vision. Because believe me, when it gets tough, it is those who understand the depth of what you are doing that will really help you through that phase. Not someone who is indifferent or who reluctantly allowed you to just do it because it felt like you're my wife. I trust that you can handle the kids. So do the homeschooling thing if you think it's nice. When the tough season comes, when your child is transitioning maybe from one class to the other, or you are in a very sensitive season of your career, or something you want to do and is clashing with you being present in your child homeschooling journey, the partner who reluctantly accepted that proposal will not be as much as effective or efficient with a partner who saw this vision with you, who walked you through the phase and is ready to stand as a means of support to take you through that phase. So ensure that there is shared values between you and your partner. Why parenting affects your marriage? Parenting affects your marriage in so many ways than we actually think or talk about. Parenthood introduces stress, shifts priorities, and tests love. Do you know there's a story of a woman I know who she homeschools her kids, and then at a point the husband goes to work, is a 9 to 5 hours, so he goes to work and comes back. And then at the point he realizes that his children does not really respect him as much as they respect their mother. Now you know this is unlikely, right? You say that okay, in a family, is daddies are the ones that the children will always behave and respond to, even though that's not right, but that's common. But in this family, it was the other way around. Mommy was she was homeschooling her kids, and she's really informed. She knows what to do and what not to do to avoid see finish with your children, because she really gave her time into researching and following up with the process. So she knew how to maximize her relationship with her children to the point where they don't see her finish, even though she is their class teacher. She teaches them at home. But then, so in this because of this, so the children are they are very quick to listen to her. Sit down when they sit down, but daddy is at home and daddy tells them sit down. You know how children can just be petty. They are trying to talk you out of the instruction you give to them, or give you reasons why. But daddy, I'm tired. I want to stand. I'm tired of sitting down. But the mommy says sit down, and they sit down immediately. So at some point the man started getting offended, and he reached out to his wife and said, the next time this child does this, I'm going to flog her very well. And then the mother paused, and then she began to educate her husband and spoke to them about how maybe this is happening because they are spending less time with him, and he needs to spend more time with them, right? And in the bit of spending more time with them, he should teach them what authority means, and he should remind them that he is also an authority in the house. Now she didn't say okay, they are your children now, flog them now. But at that point the man is spending less time with the wife. That means if he should become overly authoritative, right, and begin to flog the children to compel them into obedience, they will resent him and not respect him. And at the end of the day, yes, daddy becomes the wolf in the house because everybody's scared, but they don't really respect him. They are only scared of him. And he does not spend as much time with them in the house to correct that notion they have of him. If it's the mother, they mess up this time, she flogs them, she's with them all through the day, they shall have conversation in between, and they are, you know how children forget easily, and they are back to having mommy as the best mommy in the world. But this man spends very little time with the children in the house, right? And then the little times he spend, you notice they are not obeying, and he's trying to be authoritative or exercise his authority by being harsh, or being too firm with them. He does not have enough time like his wife to give them a different narrative of his approach of fatherhood. So the little time they spend with them, he spends with them, rather they see daddy as a wolf. So imagine having a partner who does not share the same value or the same dream to homeschool your child. Or well, I'm just using homeschooling as an example, right? It becomes very difficult. So in this case, parenting stresses, it affects your love, it tests your love to the deepest level. Your priorities began to shift. That be maybe every Friday. Maybe every Friday was is days where you go out with your husband, you spend couples time, you have fun, you go take a couple of wine and just be with yourself. But then you have kids, and all of a sudden you don't have the time anymore. Your priority has shifted. Your priority for spending quality time with your wife still remains, but the effect it has in your new routine has changed. So you really need to come up with a structure to accommodate these seasons where you won't be able to have this Friday night with your child anymore. Right, so parenthood introduces stress, a lot of stress, mental stress. By the time you stay awake, oh my god, I work with children, and believe me when I say parenting will stress you. You will stay awake, you will do night vigil, you will do soldier, you will act like elephant, you act like tortoise, you act like bird, you will bark, you will do like pig. You will jump on the bed. These children have energy. They have energy that does not run out. You see, parents who are starving their children from sugar because they don't want them to be too excited. Because almost if they have sugar rush, it's you that it will fall upon at the end of the day. Because by 1 a.m., your child is still telling you they want to play Power Rangers. They have this energy because that's just the energy that comes with their age, right? So you now as an adult who has a 9 to 5, you have a slide to work on, you have a presentation on Monday, and Sunday night your child is still jumping up and down. And maybe you are tired of flogging, because truly flogging is really not the not the best option, right? And all of this happen and you don't even know what to do. You'll be stressed. Imagine now having all of these experiences without a structure in your home. It will be upside down. You get to a point where you're like, please, my children are killing me. I want to drop them in their grandma's house. Let me run away. My first private job that I got as a nanny was a response of a wife's cry. She woke up one day, and as the baby was crying, she says she just started crying with the baby. She cried though until neighbors heard her. I was like, what happened? And then she said the baby is stressing her. Sleep, the baby doesn't want to sleep. If the baby doesn't want to, and nothing is wrong with the baby just wants her to carry him and stand. And she has been standing for like 7 hours. The moment she sits down, the baby will wake up. Now I know in the African culture they'll say, okay, you have spoiled the baby is used to carry. Even if that could be the case, but that's just a pointer that it's a lot of work. And then the husband was like, please, I need a private nanny as soon as possible. And I resumed working with them that very day. So parenthood we shift your priorities to introduce a lot of stress that you can even imagine, and to test your love. Poor planning. um so poor planning can turn spouses into competitors, not teammates. Remember what I shared about a friend, right? Who the husband started feeling bad that the children were not respecting him. So if you don't plan properly, you can get to a point where your husband is the only person who can put your children to check, and then the only thing you can use to correct them is to just tell them, I will tell daddy for you. And then it now becomes like that is the devil, while you are the good police. And this is very wrong in marriage or in parenting. There should never be a good police. If mommy says no chocolate, your child should understand that even if I go to daddy or granddaddy, the chocolate is not coming out. Not the one where they feel like, okay, after mommy says no, let me go to daddy, daddy will say yes. And that they will eventually go to daddy and daddy will say yes. They are breaking the routine of discipline and authority in your home. When an instruction is given, that instruction should cut across everybody who is seen as a symbol of authority in that house. So when mommy says no chocolates, the structure in your home should permit that even if the child calls grandpa from heaven, the chocolate will not come out. It keeps their mind in check. They understand authority. They understand not to cut corners. They understand to obey at the spot and do what they are asked to do. So there should not be good police, the werewolf. So it's called the father's werewolf, because in Nigeria it's just so common. The fathers are the werewolf, while the mothers are the good police. This is so wrong. It affects the development of your child. And in the next chapter after this, we'll begin to see how these things actually affect our children. So intentional parenting protects the marriage while raising healthy children. Believe me, if you have a structure and you are very purposeful in how you raise your children and maximize the stages of their development, you will have the best relationship with your partner ever. It makes child upbringing to be interesting. It feels like you and your partner are exploring the life of your child. It feels like you're holding a pet in your hand, a cat for that matter. And you see, cats will even fight, maybe respond to their owner harshly, and the owner will be like, oh, like what is that? The cat just scratch you and you're saying, ow. But genuinely, that's the response parents would have if they have good and well structured patterns in their homes. Your response becomes, oh, this is my child. This is how my child reacts to this. How can I incorporate this system to suit the needs of my child specifically? Because imagine if the child is now a special need child without a structure in the home, it would be a mess. Research has shown that most of the cases of outside of money, right? I think after money and maybe one other thing, maybe parenting is like the third reasons why couples divorce. Parenting comes with its own wahala. I don't want to call it wahala, but I think that's just it. It comes with its own stress. So intentional parenting helps you to protect your marriage, but still gives you the ability to enjoy that marriage. So the next part says building your parenting strategy. Please give me 1 second. So the next part says building your parenting strategy even before marriage. Now, like I said in the first part, define your non-negotiables as a future parent. Discuss your core values with your partner. What are your non-negotiables? Someone like me now, homeschooling is a non-negotiable for me, right? I already planned and have all of these structures, even though yeah, there are some parts of it that I believe should be left flexible because my husband has a very huge say in those parts, but it's a promise. Sorry, I'll have to put off my camera now. My phone is about to go off and I'm having to charge it. Cool, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I said I have to put off my camera now.
Okay.
So, building your parenting strategy even before marriage, define your non negotiables as a future parent. For me, my non negotiables are from the age of 0 to 7 or 0 to 10, my children will be homeschooled, right? I want to do this because I understand the effects of homeschooling and all that the possibilities that are in it, right? And because I know how sensitive the development stages of a child from age 0 to 10 is, I think I would trust myself enough to handle those stages of their life completely. Right. So if a partner comes and we're having this conversation, one of the things I want to always table is I want to homeschool my kids from 0 to 10 years. Are you okay with that? Right. So if you don't have these non-negotiables, it affects the structures you might want to build in your marriage. Discuss core values with your partner. What are your core values? My children will not watch cartoon, one of those core values. Then we have playtime. We'll go skydiving. We'll go swimming. We'll have every Fridays for outdoor experience. But they won't have a tablet that keeps them stuck to their screen. Now that's a core value that I want to have. Would my partner accept that? If he wouldn't, then he shouldn't be my partner. We should never have the conversation of marriage because really, what's the point of yeah, there is a point of being married and not wanting kids, but for me children is something I really want to do, right? So if I really want to do children, I should have a partner who is okay with how I want to do parenting. So envision the culture of your home. Now this is very important with the recent changes in cultures where we don't even know what culture is being practiced around us right now because there is there's Western culture, there is the African culture, there is now the current one that is trending in Nigeria, which is a combination of the African culture and the Western culture together, right? So define the culture of your home. What's the culture of my home going to be like? I want to plait my boy's hair. Is my partner okay with me plaiting my son's hair? I want my daughter to barb her hair for the first 3 years. Is my partner okay with my daughter barbing her hair for the first? Now, I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm just giving examples. Sorry, let me take water. So envision the culture of your home. I remember that in Planning out the culture of your home, you also need to strategize on what area especially you'll be living in. And if the area you'll be living in as a couple to raise your kids is not something that can be affected by your decision, then you have to ensure that outside of your door, there can be any other culture. But as long as there is a wall around your bedroom, there is a unique culture in your home. I don't know if you understand me. You can say the world is there, it's outside of our gates, but as soon as you step into the confinement of our home, there is a unique culture that is practiced here, and this is the culture to which we raise our kids. So we need to be intentional of a lot of things. Intentional parenting researches on the school they want their children to go, researches on the lifestyle of the teaching practices of those schools, researches on the school's curriculum to know what exactly they are teaching your children, especially in Africa here where they really do not give consent. You go abroad and they give a lot of consent to teach your child certain topics, concepts to introduce some certain kind of crafts to your children. But you in this place where we are, you just check your child's notes, and what you are seeing, you are wondering, why are they telling you mothers will stay at home, fathers will go to work? So research on the curriculums, research on what they teach your children, right? That's called intentional parenting, to ensure that the cultures of the areas where your child will be spending a lot of time is in parallel relationship to the kind of cultures you want them to grow with. Learn, unlearn, and grow from your own, and grow out from your own childhood experiences. Oh my god, oh my god, this place needs to really needs to be hammered on, because a lot of us have parenting ideas that is just a trauma response. I want to give my children I'll not give my children the opportunity to go out to they will never do sleepover, they will never do this, they'll never go for birthdays. Why? Because it was at birthdays you had your first kiss, or it was at birthdays one boy touched you here. Even if these instructions can make sense, but remember that in intentional parenting, it is not a response to your trauma or response to your own childhood experiences. It's a response in the unique need of your child. Intentional parenting is not a response to your childhood trauma. It is not a response to the things you failed to experience as a child. Rather, it is a response to your child's unique needs. You shouldn't carve out a structure for your child's development due to the things you were starved from as a child. Believe me, you will end up repeating the mistake, because life goes in circles. Our parents were starved in certain areas and they made vows that they were not going to allow their parents do this. Let me take an example of my dad. My dad grew up in a polygamous home, right? So his parents really did not, his father did not really bother about school, right? So school was a tough thing for them. They had to sponsor themselves through school most of the times. At the point, some of them even gave up. I was like, see, I'm not even going to school again. Let me just go and farm, or let me go and learn a trade, right? So it came to us, and my daddy spent a lot of money on the schools we attend. My eldest brother attended one of the biggest primary school, rather primary and nursery schools in Abuja, way back then. Imagine your school fees being 95,000 naira in like 2000, like 2000, 2001. Your school fees is 95,000 naira. Do you know how much that is? That'll probably get you a wife, a car, and all of that. So my parents invested that much. My parents invested that much in our school, my dad especially. But when you look at other areas were starved. He didn't know how to express love outside of sending you all the money you need for your school fees. So you go to school, your school fees has been paid, but the other things, well, you just have to trust the Holy Spirit to provide. He'll never tell you I love you, but he asks you for school fees and he wired the money immediately. Right. So if we carve out our structures for parenting in response to our childhood experiences, we'll end up creating the same circle. Now imagine me now growing up and saying, okay, I'm going to ensure that my children don't really go to expensive school because it's waste of money and they're really not learning anything. They can go to expensive universities but not expensive primary school, because really they're just eating our money. Children can really just learn and catch up on their own, and then I provide the other necessities but miss out on that. I'm only repeating the circle. prioritizing one part and leaving the others aside. So, intentional parenting should be from the unique needs of your child and not from your personal experiences. Now, the last one says prepare emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Nobody tells you better. Nobody can say this better. Prepare emotionally, spiritually, and mentally for your children. Be prepared that your baby will leave you staying up late at night. Prepare that your baby might not eat, and you have to beg somebody to eat his food. You have to dance and do Chinese and banu and sing before the baby will take one spoon. Prepare yourself mentally for it, because I believe a lot of times we are so focused on how we want our relationship and marriage to be, but then we fail to realize that parenting is a huge definer of what our marriage experiences will look like. It is very important. So we need to consider and prepare ourselves emotionally. When your wife, when the woman goes through childbirth, and then she comes to the postpartum, or what's the word, yeah, postpartum experience, where she begins to feel traumatized. She's just there. She loses her identity because men, her body changes. Someone who is weighing 50 gets pregnant, has a baby, and then she's weighing like 120 something. She loses her shape, everything she knows about herself. She gets a lot of things change. And even for women who really do not have all of this physical adjustments in their body, mentally their body changes. Do you know that your child's DNA, a part of your child's DNA, remains inside of you after giving birth to them? That means no matter how much that child grows, that you and that child shares a part of their DNA. Now, it's not the DNA that tracks, okay, this is my biological mother, this is my biological father. It's the DNA that shows the specific and the unique qualities of that person as an individual. Yet, a bit of that is distributed into the body of the mother during childbirth. So there's a lot of things that goes on in the process of conception, giving birth, nursing your child to toddler age, and all of that. So you need to prepare. Tell yourself this is what might happen. Now, I'm not saying you should hope and pray for bad things, but tell yourself this might happen. I'm preparing myself for it. So let me hurry up. Let me hurry up. Parenting styles and what works. What works
Okay,
best. So there are
sorry,
four
I'll
types
have
of
to
parenting styles.
interrupt you a little. Let's join with the next link. This one is almost over. So let's be
Oh,
join
okay. So should we
immediately.
join now?
Yes, join in. I've sent the link.
Okay, okay. So I'll leave and join now.